TJ the Wheel Deal coming at you live. It is Tuesday, May the 27th, 11:12. We now 11:13 p.m. Central Time, one of the time zones that we have here in this great state of Texas. And we're going to have a special episode of Wheelers After Dark because I may not be available for Wheelers tomorrow. Wife's sleeping. So I snuck out of bed, told her I was going to do an episode. She was like, eh. So she shows up here in the next few minutes. This will be an abbreviated session, if you will. We definitely not going to have AK. What was his name? AK something. He ain't going to be joining tonight. We got a special guest, though. I reached out to Sergio, and that link is for Sergio right there. So whenever he joins the stream, said he'd be home shortly. We'll be on our way. Anyway, appreciate those of y'all that are rocking with me this evening. Who won the game tonight? Did the Knicks make the comeback, or did Indiana get the W? I didn't finish watching the game. I bailed with like 2 or 3 minutes left. Looks like the Knicks had closed it to like 4 points, and then my wife and I wanted to watch. Your Friends and Neighbors, and so that's what we did. Trying to pull up my ESPN app on the phone to see if the Knicks won. No. So both series are at 3-1. So I think they're basically over. If you look historically, it's like 90% or so that the series goes 3-1. The team in the lead wins. So wonder if the finals will be any good. Seems like the Pacers are pretty feisty, but I just think that Oklahoma has all the talent right now. They got all the talent. So anyway, we're going to get into it, guys. What's going on, Mike? What is going on? TJ pulling a mitt. I texted Mitt a day or two ago, and I was like, hey, let's go on the channel and we'll talk about the Palantir short strangle. And he was like, dude, we got a bunch of beginners on the channel. So probably not a good idea to talk about those advanced strategies because we don't want to like lead people down financial ruin. So that being said, I don't see me going on the Mid's channel anytime soon. I told him whenever his audience was ready to graduate, send him over here. They sell a put, you wait. Sell a call, you wait. And then if things go south, you have to figure it out, right? Whereas when I sell the put and the call simultaneously, we wait and then we navigate. So it's like you're one step ahead. So you're guaranteed for the most part to have to manage that trade. Whereas whenever you sell a put or you sell a call, you already own the shares. Worst case, if the shares shoot up, the stock shoots up, you sell your shares. There's not a whole lot to manage there if you don't feel like it. So whereas, selling the put, selling the call, you wait, then you navigate. It's a guaranteed. More than likely, you're going to have to navigate. So anyway, I don't even check if I got 50. I know we're at like 40 or so. I'll check here in a little bit. Let me see if we got 50 or I jumped the gun here, just assuming we're going to hit 50. Pulling up my X feed. Looks like we're already live. Yeah, I got 62. Got 62. So we're good. We're good. Everything was legit. I'm just checking to see. Do it. I love streams. So anyway, somebody's making comments about me getting divorced because I'm on this live. Y'all are crazy. AK, he was nuts. Miss Law, what's going on, Julie? Awesome. Glad to catch your stream. Please look at a buy right for Tesla 50 days at the money. We're going to go over that Tesla position. I don't need to be doing that. I don't think you've been following the channel much if you're asking me to buy Tesla. How much money did you start with your trading account? Motivate what you're doing. Man, I initially started with like under $5,000, kept pumping money. And then I founded a little fund, raised $5 million between 5 people. I doubled it twice. I got 10% for my little fee. So I was on my way. After that. And then things went really favorably for me. Moved to the Rio Grande Valley, met my wife, and it's just, things have gone in a totally different trajectory for me, if you will. So it's been good. What's going on, Mr. G? Feel free to hit the little button thing, guys. If anybody wants to join, we're gonna get into it here in just a second. So I'm gonna put it on here again to make sure Sergio has the link, and I'll text him and tell him the link is in the chat. So in the interim, what I want to do is I'm going to hit present, and I'm going to show the spreadsheet first. It's easier to show because I can, enlarge it accordingly and whatnot. So that's just a lot easier. It's a lot, it's more visibly friendly, if you will. So what's going on? Got a lot of short strangles here. And then this is actually now a short strangle as well. So this is end phase. Okay. So I got an Amazon, I got a short strangle. That's where you sold the put, you sold the call for the same expiration date. And it's a sweet spot trade. You're out of the money on both sides if the shares are matriculating in between both strikes. So right now this is ideal. It is a ways out though, 8:15, and it's a big position. It's 200 puts on Amazon and it's 200 calls on Amazon. I am prepared to take ownership of 20,000 shares of Amazon, although it's be really painful because I've used up a lot of the money on Tesla, but there is more money going into the account, so that helps. End phase, short strangle. I rolled this one to August as well, and I'll show y'all while I'm doing this. Is because I'm babysitting another really, really huge short strangle, so I didn't want to use all of my I didn't want to have to manage because I want to make sure that this other position really works out. And then, we'll get more serious with these. So I just keep this one down the road. 40 and 55 on end phase. I feel pretty good about it. It's right there in the lower end of the tier. Google short strangle. Feel pretty good about this one too. 165, 185 again. 815, 100 contracts. It's at 172. The hood. I don't feel as good about this one. I do not feel as good about this one because there could potentially be S&P inclusion and whatnot. This one's at 55 and 70, and it's already for 815. So I'm pretty narrow here. So I could either book a loss and move the money somewhere else because the premiums are about the same. Like the premium that I got to get back on hood is about the same as the premium that I get that I would collect going to a different strangle that I feel better about because it's wider. I would potentially do that. If not, I'll just stick it out and I'll just keep rolling and rolling and rolling and roll and expand, and call it good. But hood, high conviction, it doesn't have to be in the portfolio though. I'm not like super excited about Robinhood for other reasons. What's going on, Sergio? How are you?
Good. How are you, TJ?
I'm doing good, man. Let me finish real quickly on the spreadsheet and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, I'm watching.
So after hood, we got NVIDIA. It's 130, 140 again, really, really tight. 8:15. I believe they have earnings tomorrow. So I am prepared to navigate this one, and I'm okay being in this position for the next 3 to 5 years. So that one, I'm not willing to give it up so quickly. Whereas with hood, totally, it's one of those that I'm indifferent about it. I can make money with it. I've already made $500,000. I'd be happy to make another $500,000, or I'd be happy losing 20 or 30 grand on this trade and moving on to something else because it's high conviction from the standpoint that I think the stock's going to do well. It just doesn't have to do well in my portfolio. If that makes sense because I'm just indifferent with it. If it's in there, great. If it isn't, I don't give a shit either. NVIDIA, I like that one. Palantir, this is the one that we'll talk about in a little bit. SoFi, I've got, I mean, they calling it short strangle, but it really isn't because they have different expiration dates if you want to get real technical with it. But I have the put at 12 for January, and then I got the short call for $15, 620. So like 23 days from now, both out of the money, feeling pretty comfortable with it. And it's 1,500 contracts. That's a huge ass position. And then Tesla, we'll get into it. This is the biggest short strangle of my career. This one, I'm writing the book on it, right? Because this is maybe added into the first book, or it may just be a separate one altogether. That's why I'm documenting every little thing. It's like the trade that made or break, it was going to make me or break me, or what. Like it's going to be like a little drama show, if you will. But I'm going to show a bunch of stuff on it, and I got the 300 strikes and the 470 strikes. That's where I'm sitting, and it is a short strangle for the most part, but I'm covering because I'm already at 15,000 shares, and then I do currently have 100,000 shares of TSLL, which is the equivalent of about another 8,500 shares. And there's also 50 leaps that are not on the spreadsheet. I just bought those leaps as well today. So I got about 35% of the position covered. The rest of it still is uncovered, but I am looking at buying an additional 150 to 200 leaps to cover most of my, backside to the upside, if you will, cover my ass to the upside. So I'm not going to play it super dumb. Where am I going to get the money? I could just get it from the brokerage cash, or I'm anticipating 100 and or $1.7 million because these shares are for sale on Friday at $17 on TSLL. I'm up, $600,000 on those shares, and it gives me a lot of wiggle room because I could potentially take a loss and just give myself a lot more wiggle room on the Tesla short call, the short strangle. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so that is the portfolio update, and in that shown a little bit, we show the brokerage. It's just not as visually appealing on Tasty Trade. That's why I try to show y'all the visuals over here, and then whenever you see them on the brokers, the numbers start making sense for you guys. What's going on, Sergio? How are you?
Good, man. Good. Waiting for summer. It's starting, and weather is getting better. And not that we have bad in California that much.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the usual trading, obviously. Investing. Two different accounts. I've always done it that way. Last 15 years, have an investment account and a trading account. And investment account, I'm trying to stay definitely long-term capital gains. I talk about it quite often. Don't commingle your trading with your investing. Trading is a different animal. Investing is completely different.
Right.
But some people do it. It's easier for accounting purposes, but it's also, it's easier to be committed to long-term positions, especially after the sell-off that we had.
Yeah.
So got lucky, got into a bunch of stocks that I wanted to get into, and there is no rhyme or reason nowadays with what the market is doing. Right, one tweet takes it 5% down, one tweet takes it 5% up, but it seems like the ups are a lot more powerful than the downs. Like when there's bad news, market hesitates to go down, but when it's good news, market just takes off. Like today, for example, over the weekend, long holiday. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Have been doing a lot of synthetics, short puts, long calls on a lot of different issues. Got on the bandwagon on. I'm a huge believer in autonomous vehicles, and I know the industry extremely well. And due to Uber, Lyft, but then their investments overseas in a couple of Chinese autonomous vehicles companies. They're basically the Waymos of China. They can't operate in the US, obviously, but they operate in the Middle East and Asia and all over Europe. So I'm doing really well in those couple names, where Uber does have a share. Actually, we've invested a couple $100 million each on these companies, so they have the backing. One of them has backing of NVIDIA, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah, you just find these names, you just ride the horse, man. That's all you can do. And then when stocks get to your levels, you just go at it. It's simple. I
Do you
see
think? Do you
commercials.
think Tesla is going to take a lot of market share from Uber and Lyft?
I think I don't think Tesla is. I know there's a Tesla bias, and I love the company. I love Elon. I love the car. I have a Model Y. I loved FSD, but having been in LA, having been in multiple Waymos over the past few months, especially, to be honest with you, every time I get into one of these things, I'm more and more impressed. 6 months ago when I got in one, it wouldn't pick me up on a fire hydrant. It wouldn't pick me up where I'm standing. It wouldn't break the law. It wouldn't pick me up on red. It wouldn't pick me up at a bus, wherever I'm standing like an Uber. Now they're breaking the law. They're double parking and they're waiting for you. So it's basically they're improving the way they drive. The way they drove was amazing anyway. I think they drive definitely better than humans. And so Robotaxi, honestly, TJ, I don't think they're ready. I think each one of those is going. So I have FSD. The newer version of FSD is
Me too.
phenomenal, right? But
It's great, but it's not. It's not fully there yet. Yesterday, I see the arrows plain as day
yeah,
to make a left turn or to go straight,
yeah,
and it called to go straight on the map,
yeah,
and it immediately goes to the left turn to the
yeah,
left hand lane, and there's a car. There's a truck on the
yeah,
right hand side, and I'm like, I thought about just letting the car figure it out, but we were at the light. We were the first in line. And I was just like, is it going to get stubborn and try to go over there?
yeah,
Or is it just going to make the left and reroute? But
yeah,
I didn't have the guts to let it play out. This is the
yeah,
third time it's taking me to that same intersection and it still can't get it right. So
yeah,
I'll overtake it. And then, the little voice thing that where you can tell
yeah,
it,
yeah,
I'm like, you keep getting in the wrong lane.
yeah. I mean,
And
look,
I've listened to it 3 times. The car doesn't give a shit.
compared to Waymos, they are quite far. I mean, the difference is small, but in real life, they're quite far. So my thing is,
What are your
honestly,
thoughts on
until
Waymo? I've been in a Waymo. What are your and I felt like Waymo likes to go to the left, to the right.
yeah,
And it takes me the long way around because I
yeah,
think that for what it's easier to turn right
yeah.
in traffic. Is that
Well, but there is a study done on that National Highway Transportation Bureau did a study. Even when you order an Uber with a human, Uber directs you to make rights because 90% of accidents happen when you're making a left.
Mhm.
So they route you to the right. Right is better, safer, not better, not quicker, but safer than doing a left. So look, I think Waymo is ahead. However, I think the scalability of Tesla is going to be a lot quicker when they have solved all their problems. Obviously, they're going with the camera system software versus LiDAR and everything else on Waymos, all the bells and whistles. I think the scalability of Waymo is going to be quicker than scalability of Tesla and Robotaxi. So Tesla is going at it two ways, as you know. Individually owned cars, because as we know, 85% of our cars utilization, they're sitting 85% of the time. Like you go to work in the morning,
Of course.
you park, and then for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, the car is parked. And then you just take it home and then you park again. So personal automobile utilization is like 15%, 85% of the time the car is idle. So Elon is going at it two ways, having people put their cars on the network and earn them some money while they're sleeping. I don't know how many personal Tesla owners are going to do that. And the second way, obviously, which is going to be the cheapest way and more scalable way, is going to be the robotaxi, the two-seater with the flying doors and all that stuff. I still don't think that's going to happen for a while, but stock is getting pumped now because of that. And I think
Yeah,
it's
but
going to be one of those.
is that really the only reason though? Because I mean, they're rolling out 10 of these cars. 10.
Yeah,
And I have confirmation on 10 because I know several people that work there in Austin at
yeah,
Tesla. And they're like, dude, it's 10. I'm seeing it right here. It's 10.
yeah.
So they're rolling out 10. And I don't think that's considered insider information. I just happen to know people that work there.
No, they announced it today, 10. But you know what it is
Like,
though?
so you're going to give it an extra $300 billion in market cap for 10 taxis that aren't even going to generate revenue right away?
Yeah, well, no, it was a culmination of things. It looks like he quit Doge. Okay, so he's back full time, number one. It
Okay,
looks
so
like XAI is going really well.
he's sleeping on the floor again. So that's worth another 300
Yeah,
billion.
he's sleeping on the floor again. But
Yeah.
there is a culmination of things happening. So you've been getting, I mean, if you're on Twitter, which I know you are, you can't get away by just without watching the Optimus robot, right?
Yeah.
Every other video is an Optimus robot video, dancing, running, doing whatever he's doing. So that's one. Number two, he's back at Tesla, it looks like, full time. Number three, XAI seems like it's doing really, really good work, the AI part, and the robotaxi stuff. So I think out of all these, I think I agree with the Tesla holders and Elon that I think Optimus is going to be the largest moneymaker ever. I don't think robotaxi, I think, is a commodity business ultimately. I mean, cost per mile, that's the most important thing. And how low can transportation go? That's about it. I don't think that's going to be a huge add-on, but then the total addressable market in that business is massive. It's into the trillions of dollars. And at some point, is it going to replace personal car ownership? Do you need to buy a car, pay insurance, parking, maintenance, and all this stuff, which is on the cheapest car these days? If you add those up, it's $1,000, okay, a month, and 85% of the time it's sitting idle. Or do you take a robotaxi, which may run at 23 to 25 cents a mile, which you can take to your supermarket, you can take to your kid's soccer practice, you can take to restaurants, you can do whatever. So to me, buy what they say, buy the rumor, sell the news, right? Or buy the news, sell the fact, whatever they say, right? I think its stock is ahead of itself, but there's a lot of option activity in that too. Like this top option trading stock today, 2.2 million contracts traded on Tesla, and there's some gamma squeeze going on for sure. But but I was looking at your spreadsheet. I really, really, actually, I may put that on tomorrow myself. I really like your Palantir position. 110, 150, I think is pretty safe if you go out to June. I saw all your other ones in Tesla is like you're way out to January 2026. You extended it. You gotta roll.
I'm giving myself time to cover a lot of the position.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, you have no choice.
It's expensive. the game that I'm playing is expensive, and I'm also waiting on more monies to be able to get freed up from other ventures that we got.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would have loved to have already been covered with at least 20,000 shares and 400 leaves. Call life good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not there yet. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to roll early and often. That way, I've got plenty of extrinsic value on my side, and I don't wake up and holy shit, I blew up the account, right?
Yeah.
So
No, I think
whenever you're doing this, you got to be very careful. Very careful.
No, I agree with you. And so let me answer this question, Sergio. How many stocks are in your long term? Yeah. 5 at the moment. I got lucky, bought Google about 143. I bought Nike about 53. These are not the cash secure puts, just bought them straight up. I put about 40% of the account to work. I bought WeRide about 7.5, which is one of the Chinese stocks, but I also have that in my trading account. I have Kava, which is the restaurant chain that I really, really like. I actually was long Kava for a year and 6 months before, from the 30s to 150. Then I let it go. Bought it about 80 range. I got back in 80. Stock went to 175 after that. So I got back into that, and I have Unity software. So those 5.
How do you like Unity? Because I'm friends with Tevis.
Okay.
He's one of the finance pros on YouTube, and
I think
He told me the Unity was a mess. Like
it
there
was
was
a mess. The new management straightened it out. I like it about 2022 range. There's a possibility of a takeout, but I didn't buy it because of that. I think they fixed the mess. It was a mess. Google speaks for itself. WeRide speaks for itself. If you look at the charts of these stocks, it's interesting, but I'm not doing it, investing in it for chart purposes only. Nike, I think when it got to 50s, low 50s, I think it's worth a shot. I'm not married to it, but it's worth a shot.
sure.
And and Google, I got lucky on Google. I was just the day market was down another 6-8%. I paid 143. I think Google is out of all the Mag 7s. I think, well, not now, but when back then it was really underpriced actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the five.
I think it's decent now. At 150, it was, much better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I put five, and if you notice, they're all in five different areas, right? So diversify a little bit, obviously. I'm eyeing a couple more stocks. If they get there, I will buy them and just hold them. No cover calls, no nothing. Just hold it.
Yeah, that's cover calls is cool. You sell, you gotta wait, but you're pigeonholing yourself, right? So you lose a lot of optionality, and there's gimmies and gotchas and everything. I'll tell you what I do love the most is what's wrong, baby? Doing? What I love the most is short strangles, and I want to talk about that with you, Sergio. Have throughout your career, have you utilized short strangles to a fair degree, or is it something that if the right
Yeah, no,
opportunity?
I do it quite often. I do it quite often.
I'm seeing less and less value in owning the actual shares in this account.
That's why I do synthetics, TJ.
Yeah.
So when I have committed to an idea or to a stock, instead of buying
Mhm.
the stock, I sell the put, buy the call, and let it go. And then sometimes what I do is when it moves my way, I can sell a call against my long call, right? Either shorter. Like let's say if I'm doing July's, and if they have weekly options or if they have monthly options, obviously. So if I'm correct and the first 2-3 points is working for me, the
Yeah.
puts are losing value and then the calls are gaining, then I will just go sell some out of the money calls, start taking in money, lowering my cost basis on the calls. I like short strangles more than short strangles. I like condors, iron condors. Now the risk is less, obviously, the reward is less as well.
Yeah.
But the problem that I see with short strangles with the markets that we're in is that the volatility is so high
Yeah.
and implied volatility is so high, there is a chance of a whipsaw, right?
Yeah.
Because you sell the call, you sell the put, you get to your call price, you roll both sides up, not to be in trouble with the call side, and then something comes out and then it tanks, and then now you're in trouble with the put side, right?
Yeah.
That's the only problem I see. I think strangles are good for kind of neutral to sideways-ish or grinding higher slowly kind of markets like we had in 2023, 2024. And now it will put you in trouble. The naked call side will put you in trouble. They'll melt shit up on you. Like, look at Hood, right? Look at Hood. Look at, look at Tesla.
Yeah.
Look at Palantir. But out of the ones you have, I think Palantir is
So
pretty.
this is according to Grok. According to
Oh,
Grok,
forget Grok.
the best trade I have is so far.
Okay.
As far as risk group, because if you look at the capital required and the amount of premium that I brought through the door, it's
What do you have? 12, 15s you said on that?
Yeah, the 12s on the put. This is for January, and then I'm running like an inverse poor man covered call on it, right? Because I've got short dated short calls on it, and this is already the third cycle on the short call. Still
Yeah.
has yet to get challenged. So I keep rinse and repeat. I'm open on the next one, so if I will catch a little bit of a bid, and I'll be at 16 or 17. That way, there's less pressure, if you will.
Yeah.
But the premiums have been pretty decent, pretty
Yeah.
decent. But right
Yeah.
now, the IV is real freaking low. And
Yeah.
so far, you look on the top left, this gives you the IV rank.
Yeah.
But this one, just for the amount of capital required compared to the amount of premiums that you bring in, because this is portfolio margin account,
Yeah.
it is very, very sexy.
Yeah.
The second best trade that I have on the books, according to Grok, is this Palantir trade. Now
Absolutely. I
the
agree with
risk,
Grok on that.
the risk reward for the amount of capital required,
Yeah.
it's just what I'm bringing in, isn't the best, but the percentages of it expiring out of the money and collecting everything is the
Yeah.
highest by far.
That's why I said Palantir when you were going through your spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And I think I will do a iron condor on Palantir tomorrow. Do like a maybe get the wings a little wider,
Sure.
maybe the 150, 160, 110, 100, taking a little bit less, go out to July probably, and then taking some money.
So when I
You know,
Yeah,
I
so
think that's fair.
when I sell these, Sergio, this is the initial trade, but my vision is like a year out.
Yeah.
So my vision is to keep building this trade, take it eventually to maybe 2,500 contracts, and I want to be sitting on 70 on the low side, 170 on the high side.
Yeah.
And I've just roll, expand, collect credit, roll, expand, collect credit, roll, expand, collect credit. And at some point, I call it my highway trade, and it's a sweet spot trade. The highway is what's highlighted. The drunk driver is the share price. And I need to have the rails so far apart that no matter how much it zigs and zags, it can make it to the finish line eventually, so that I can realize all of those premiums, call life good, wipe my hands of the trade. And I think Palantir is a real good candidate, because for me, the best thing that can happen for you if you want to put on this trade is you want to minimize the risk to the upside, because the upside risk is unlimited. The downside risk, it could go to zero theoretically, but is it really? Probably not, right?
No, yeah.
But
I think, but TJ, one thing that I would maybe stop you from doing, I do understand the vision of the wide highway and roll out and keep it wider, get it wider, get it wider. The benefit of that, obviously, in a wide highway, the chances of both sides expiring worthless is immense. However, I'm always thinking about like a black swan event. What could happen, right? Because there is definitely, when you keep going further out, your decay is not going to help you that much, right?
Yeah, but this is now in a perfect world, it's not all going to be Tesla. But I'm talking about like selling 30 to 45 days out, which is what I did here, and then manage in that 14 to 21 range, and then keep adding more so I can keep collecting credits and rolling. But I want to have my expiration within like 45 days, because that's where I feel like it's pretty optimal to where the data decay is like really coming off the clock pretty aggressively.
Yeah,
So
well, no, I agree with your Palantir with the being
Tesla was necessity, because I didn't get the monies in the account fast enough to be able to hedge the position. If not, I'd have just stuck it out. I'd be at like 90 days out or so.
Did you roll the Teslas to January?
Yeah, so I have. So what Tesla is sitting at is, first of all, is the core position is 15,000 shares.
Okay.
And then there's 535 short puts at 300, and 635 short calls at 470. And then I've started my hedging strategy to the upside as opposed to buying shares. I've been using the premiums of the winning trades, and I bought 50 leaps today at 450 for January, but of 2027, because I'm hoping to be in this trade until 2027. And those 15,000 shares, that's the reason I call it the core position, is because if y'all ever see the share count at 25 or 30,000, that's just because I'm trying to turn it into a covered strangle versus a short strangle, if you will. But eventually it's going to go back to the 15,000, because I just don't see a world where I would need or want to keep that many shares of Tesla, more than that many shares of Tesla. I think that is that is plenty because the portfolio is so tilted to Tesla as it is. It would be ridiculous at 25 or 30,000.
Yeah. No, I
But
agree with you.
I'm just doing that so that I could, in 34 days from now, say, screw it. I can deliver the shares because I already own them, right? That's the beauty of the covered call as well, right? You're like, hey, leave all this money on the table and stuff. But I also have my other trading instrument that I'm doing. I got the 100,000 shares of TSLL. I own these shares at 1084, and I put them for sale today at $17 because I want to free up the capital because you can't borrow against these shares, right?
Yeah.
So I want to free up the 1.7, and I'm going to use that 1.7 to buy the requisite amount of contracts that I need here, which if you do it by the book, this is controlling 20,000 shares right here, right?
Yeah.
So I need another 350. So that would be pretty expensive. So I wouldn't be able to quite cover that, but I do have enough brokerage cash to do that. But am I willing to do that right now? No, I'd rather do that on a little bit of a pullback. But I could, I'll definitely do the responsible thing and buy at least 150.
Yeah, I think you're going to get that. I think you're going to get the pullback in Tesla. Probably to 320 range or whatever. But yeah, I'm a fan of strangles on stocks that have moved quite far up.
Yeah, my big caveat for the strangle though, and this is the reason why I've gone heavy on Palantir, and the only reason I'm going heavy on Amazon is because I've owned 10,000 shares of Amazon at 203, so I've got to put at 200. I'll swing it, make $3 or $4, call it good, and get back into cash. But the reason that I like Palantir is because Palantir is so stretched. I just don't see a huge risk to the upside here at 150. And if it goes, because it's already approaching $3 billion in market cap for a company that makes $3 billion a year. You know what I mean? So 300 billion in market cap, $3 billion a year. You need to look in the mirror and say that five times.
But TJ, you know this as well as I do, right? Markets are what the markets are, and stocks will go up until you run out of cash.
Yeah,
to me, it's like it makes no sense. I even thought of shorting it again, but then I stopped myself. Luckily, thank God I did, because I'm going like I just, if I short this, I'm gonna get my face ripped, and I'm having a really good year actually. So I'm like, why even mess with it? Like, you look at all these other stocks. Look at Robinhood. Look at the 2x ETF of Robinhood. Look at MicroStrategy or Strategy. Look at the 2x ETF of that, right? And we've been trading that forever now. And we had that conversation a couple of months ago when I was on again about MicroStrategy and their Bitcoin situation, all that stuff. And obviously, we know what's happening with Bitcoin. It looks like Bitcoin has separated itself.
It's right here.
But to me, I think Palantir, I agree with your grok. Not that I use it at all, but I think Palantir, Iron Condor, I think definitely is going into the trading account tomorrow.
Do you want to walk people through an Iron Condor? I have done exactly 4 Iron Condors, and I'm like the 9th. I'm in the 9th hole because I'm 0 for 4, so I've got a 0 batting average. So if you know anything about baseball, they're going to put me in the 9th hole. I'm the pitcher, right? I'm the pitcher that doesn't hit.
Yeah. Well, it depends. So a lot of people do Iron Condors actually on 0 DTEs with SPX, which I have done. Actually, I started following this other. I'm actually a subscriber. There's a outfit called Quant Data. They don't look at charts. They don't look at fundamentals at all. What they do is they look at delta exposure, gamma exposure, most valuable contract, and then they trade 0 DTEs. And what they do is they sell Iron Condors every day with 0 DTEs. And so I've been following them as a subscriber. I'm 8 for 8. I'm not a huge 0 DTE fan, but so what Iron Condor is, it's basically a strangle, but then the risk is less. The risk is as wide as your wings are. So there's 2 things in an Iron Condor. So let's look at Palantir position, let's say.
Yeah. So I was going to pull this up right here, and then you can kind of like talk us through what this thing's saying.
Yeah, it's kind of a neutral strategy with limited risk, right? Limited exposure. Although your exposure is going to be as wide as your wings. So let's talk about the lingo about a little bit. So if I'm putting a short strangle on, strangle meaning we're strangling premium, basically, literally strangling.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. So let's say I do Palantir is 125. Stock price, I think, is exactly 125.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I go to 150 calls, sell the 150 calls, and then go 25 out, sell the 100 puts. Go out to June, let's say. Whatever premium you're going to take in, you're going to take in. Okay. So that'll be a strangle. It's naked strangle, right?
Yeah.
Stock can explode. You can risk is unlimited, basically, or stock could go to zero. I mean, your downside risk is a lot less than the upside risk. But now what you can do on Palantir, certain strikes trade every dollar on strikes, or you can go, we call it 5 wide or 10 wide, the wings. So now we put the wings on. And so if I'm short the 150 call, I can go buy with the same strike. It has to be the same expiration, not strike. I can go buy a 155 call. So I'm short the 150 call. Since that's closer to the money, the 150 call obviously is going to be worth more than the 155 call.
Right. So
So
you're selling a put, you're selling, just to simplify it for you guys, because I know a lot more than I lead on. You're selling a put, you're selling a call, you're buying insurance, right? So you're limiting the downside and the upside. So you
yes,
essentially you're doing a call credit spread and a put credit spread. That is what an iron condor is. I don't know
exactly.
why they
A put credit
complicate it.
spread and a call credit spread.
Yeah,
And then your max loss, well, both sides, you cannot lose on both sides, obviously. One
yeah.
side is going to
Mathematically
completely expire
impossible.
worthless. So what happens is that your risk is as wide as your wings. So if your wings are 5 wide, obviously you're not going to take in as much premium, but also your potential loss, max loss as we call it, is also 5 points. So if you took in by selling the call and buying the higher call, let's say $1.50, well, your max loss is 5 because the width of the wing is 5, 150 to 155. You're short the 150s, you're long the 155s. Your max loss is 5, but since you took in 1.5, it's 3.5. Well, since both sides cannot get you in trouble, one side could. Well,
Yeah.
you're also taking in some premium by selling the put credit spread.
Right.
So you're limiting upside, limiting downside. It is basically a good thing when when a stock, you expect a stock to go sideways. And if you guys look at stocks overall, a stock actually goes up only about 4 months out of the year. 9 months out of the year, actually, it goes sideways. This is normal stocks. We're not talking crazy stocks like Palantir, because it went to 125, down to 65, up to 125. I mean, that's like nuts, right?
Nuts. Yeah, it's nuts.
But if you imagine, let's say before the crash happened, if you had put on that iron condor when it was 125, if you did the same thing, 150 calls, 155s, and 100s and 95s, and stock is back to 125, so that iron condor would have pretty much sucked all the extrinsic value out of those options, and you'd be ahead. Obviously, you'd be sweating. Now, if you had naked strangle, when first time stock visited 125, and you had the 150 and 100. Stock went to 65, you're in big trouble, right? I mean, again, if you have the holding power, and if you told yourself, well, I'm willing to get put at 100 minus the premiums,
Yeah.
fine. But then your account would have most likely blown up because not too many people had
Huge drawdown. Yeah.
huge. I mean, shit, stock, you're short the 100 puts and stock is 65. I mean, it's like, what is there to say? And so iron condor is I think proper on Palantir. But yeah, I think out of all the stocks you have in there, the as crazy as Palantir is, I think yeah, iron. And FYI, when you do put on a strangle, so on a margin account, your requirements are quite different. Okay, so the brokerage will not charge you margin on both sides. So if you're 125, the closer to the money is going to get precedent. So that's the side that they're going to charge you the margin on. But when you do put the iron condor, because now you have a wing that's protecting your max loss,
Right.
the requirement is going to be a lot less. So you're putting a lot less money up to take in a lot less premium with a lot less risk.
Right.
And when you keep it that wide with the wings manageable, I think on Palantir it's proper. On the other stuff, I mean, I don't know. So I have there was a question somebody asked. WeRide was 40 6 months ago. Now it's 10. What's happening, Sergio? Actually, it was 6.
Which
It was
one?
6.
Sorry. What was the name of it?
WeRide, WRD is the symbol.
Oh, okay.
So the two stocks, I do post all my positions like TJ does. Actually, I posted all my positions today on the community page of my YouTube channel. I mean, I have members. I put live trades on my members channel on the Telegram chat group, but I posted for the regular subscribers on the community page of the channel. So what happened to WeRide? WeRide came public at 15. It went sideways for a while, and then NVIDIA said they own $25 million worth of WeRide. That day stock opened at 31 to 44. And then they grinded it all the way down to 6. They had to raise cash, dilute a couple times, and I got in at 7.5. It's on my trading account. You guys can go look at it. But I have that thing wrapped up like a mummy now. I put on long strangles on that, meaning I own the shares. I'm short the 10, 12.5, 15 calls, and I'm also short the puts. I don't mind buying more, but I don't mind also getting called away. For me, stocks have to be bought and sold, especially stocks like these. We're not talking NVIDIA and generational holds, right? Yeah, I mean, that's what happened. And now they got the backing of Uber. They're expanding in the Middle East and they're expanding in Europe. Uber is going all out with autonomous vehicles. Obviously, they have a deal with Waymo in the US. And then WeRide and Pony AI is the other one, which symbol is PONY. You guys look at the Pony chart. TJ, stock was $4 a month ago. It closed at 21 today.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. So I have both, and I like both. I don't like Pony AI as much as I like WeRide. Yeah, that's what happened. And earnings are coming out actually on NVIDIA tomorrow, and they're going to issue that 13F, which is their ownerships in other companies.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see if they still own WeRide. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Well, even if they are on WeRide. So there is like a little pair trade that I'm doing actually. This Pony AI and WeRide.
You want to explain the pair trade? It's your long.
Yeah, pair trade.
The other one.
Yeah, both companies are in the same business. Basically, like being long Pepsi, short Coke. Okay, or the other way around. But now. You have WeRide and a market cap of about $4 billion. Pony AI, same cash position, actually, same debt position. Pony AI moving from 44 to 21, almost 22, is about $8 billion company. I think either Pony AI is very expensive here, or WeRide is very cheap, or somewhere in between. So you're short one side, you're short Pony AI, you're long WeRide. And you're hoping somewhere in the middle, they meet somewhere in the middle. So that's where we are.
Super cool. Super cool. So guys, what I want to do is I want to give y'all some tips. These are not financial advice.
Yep, definitely not.
It's sound though. It's sound. So I had a lot of money that was coming into this account. So I got ahead of the game on Tesla. So I sold this massive short strangle, knowing that I was going to be able to cover way before things got out of hand. But the temptation is to go and sell a bunch of naked short puts and short calls, and knowing damn well that you are never going to be in a position to be able to cover, and you're going to blow up your account like more often than not.
Yeah.
So I don't want people, and I've said it 1,000 times already. I'm going to say it 1,001 time tonight. I don't want you guys following me into this trade because you don't have my risk tolerance. You don't know what my 3 to 5 year objective is with this Tesla trade, this Palantir trade, or any of this stuff. And you also don't most likely have the bankroll that I have, because
Yeah,
this is big boy trading. This is like, this is the freaking the hedge funds. They go in there, they'll take a company like Palantir and they'll go and make millions and billions of dollars with it whenever it's over here in the $100 range, and they're able to keep it there and do all of those things. It's just it's a different game. It's a different game. And I knew how much I had coming to me. So I was able to cover. And then he's like, it's North, like this guy's always talking shit, but he never shows his place, right? So I'm like, dude, click the link and show me your portfolio, because I don't mind anybody talking smack, but I need to see the results, or you got to have it, play a game called shut the fuck up. So that's just the way that I am. The reason I respect Sergio and I listen to what you have to say is because you go transparent on your channel 2 times per week and you show your trades.
yeah. No, I mean, look, TJ, what you said is very important. Okay.
It is.
What I do, I don't want you to do.
I don't want to blow.
Don't do what I do. Okay.
Yeah.
And don't do what he does. We're on YouTube. Okay. We're not licensed financial people. We're not giving any advice. I'm talking out of my 30 plus years of experience, and he's talking, from his account's perspective. So to us, it's like we're having a chat. And the most important thing in here is that, though, I've known TJ for about 6 months now. And my goal on my channel is to add tools to your toolbox, right? Every member that comes to my channel, they go, I never even thought about that. I'm like, yeah, there's like so many ways to skin the cat. And one will work for you. You will be the most comfortable with. But being stuck with just one strategy, meaning cash secure puts, sell calls. Okay. Well, he was doing that for a long time. Okay. Well, now he's doing short strangles. Okay. My goal, in anybody's goal, actually, Amit's goal and TJ's goal and whoever's goal it is, should be introducing people, if they have the experience, obviously, introducing people to new ideas. There's million ways to trade options, million ways to trade stocks, million ways to look at macro, million ways. My point is, I'll give you the tools of the trade. And I don't want to give you a fish by telling you what to do. Like, okay, I'm doing this trade, duplicate it. It's not going to work for you, because your risk tolerance, your account size, my risk tolerance, my account size, his risk tolerance, his account size is all different. My goal is to teach you how to fish. Initially, I may give you a fish or two, but ultimately, I want you to learn how to fish, because that's for a lifetime. And understand risk and be able to manage risk and what you're getting into, what you're getting out of, when to get in, when to get out of. Last time, for example, it's perfect example. I was on a couple of months ago. I talked about a TLT trade, which was an interest rate bond trade. You remember?
I do.
I put it on. I was pretty decent, heavy in it. What happened? I put the trade on. It worked literally for 2.5 weeks. And I was up on a commitment of about $40,000. I was up close to $5,000, right? What do? I didn't take it, because they were all the way out to March. This is the danger of going that far. And what happened? Japanese bond market took off, went from 1.5% to 3.5%. Our bond market tanked, because now there's a scare of carry trade part 2 happening. And our bonds tanked. Our 30-year went over 5%. And when there is no more, recession risk, there is no more slowdown risk, our bond market's tanking. There's other reasons for that, obviously, too. But the point I'm trying to make is that trade, from being a beautifully profitable trade, went into neutral and to red. But on the way to neutral, I trimmed that position. I'm going from 30 options to 25 options to 20 options to 15 options. So what I'm seeing is I had a thesis. I structured a perfect trade around it, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, what do? You trim, you trim, you trim. You never let red get to, green get to red. You never do that, right? These are the things that should be important. Not, the other thing is, at the moment, I probably have 7 or 8 different positions in the trading account. Okay, I look at my trading account as a supermarket basket. Honest to God, I don't give a rat's ass which one it does what. Because each position is put in a way that my allocation is in a way that is not going to break that account. Even if the worst case happens, it's not going to break that account. So I'm hoping that all my shorts go down and all my longs go up. Everybody does that. But what happens is that I just look at it as a supermarket basket. I'm creating this meal. I need these 8 ingredients for this beautiful meal. I can give you those 8 ingredients. You will come up with a shitty meal. I'll put those 8 ingredients as a chef. I'll come up with a beautiful meal. We all have different ways, right? But for me, the most important thing, the most important thing, more than having cash at hand at all times, obviously, probably to the tune of 30 to 40%, is my account equity. Meaning, it's called, on Tasty Trade, they call it net lick. Net lick means net liquidation value.
Right.
I'm not putting any money in my trading account. I never do. I start at a point, and then I just go on to the end of the year, and then that's it. So net lick, well, from the start of the year, if you have $1 extra, you're ahead. You're in the green.
You're winning.
That's what I look at. It's on the upper left-hand corner on Think or Swim. That's all I'm watching. I'm not watching each individual position. Now, I have triggers on each individual position. When they get to somewhere, I'm going to do something. Either I'm going to take a profit or I'm going to take a loss, period. But I'm watching my net lick. If my net lick is at 40% for the year, I'm up 40% for the year. Tomorrow, I can close all those 7 positions, basically empty that supermarket basket, and I'll be up 40%. That's risk management. That's money management. That's the most important thing that I'm trying to teach. And once you learn that, then you'll be you'll be sleeping a lot better. You'll be eating a lot better. You'll be your family relationships and friendships are going to be a lot better because you are not so in it that your gut is telling you, I can't handle this much risk. I can't handle this stress. But unfortunately, people do it and they blow accounts right and left.
I have a buddy of mine who has 100 million, and he does one stock at a time, and kind of like what I'm doing with Tesla, but he does it at a much bigger level. But he's always covered. He doesn't. Well, he'll start the position. He always starts with the short strang, but he's like, it's called. See if I get lucky. If not, I'll cover the position because I'm not going to let things get out of hand. But he goes real heavy on one stock, gets the adjusted cost basis to 0. And then he's like, okay, these are the amount of shares that I want for the long-term pool. And then he'll start again. And he only has 4 stocks, and it's all Mag 7. And he's killing it. That's what
you have to do.
But he started his journey with, I think, like 12 million, something like that. And he's already at over 100. And so I get pointers from him all the time.
Well, absolutely. I mean, look, TJ, I mean, seriously, over long periods of time, right? Stocks go up. There is no, you can question it. You can try to pick them, bear market top, this, that. If you look at over long periods of time, and for most of you here who are watching and are going to watch it later, you will do a lot better DCAing actually. Because you have to understand this. That's why I have 2 different accounts. I have an investment account, which is much larger than my trading account because I'm 58 and I don't want to blow shit, right? That's it. Yeah. What I want to do is that, though, on my trading account, if you're spending so much time and energy on something, and if your benchmark is the S&P 500, let's say, okay, this year S&P 500, I think, is even. If you're up 10%, you're doing good. But last year, S&P 500 up 25%. Why are you trading? If you're not getting 2x, 3x out of your trading, you shouldn't be trading. You should not be because you're taking so much risk to do that. So investing is different. Trading, completely different. And over long periods of time, most of you will probably do better because most of you probably don't have the tools. You'll be better. You just DCA. Dollar cost average. It works, man. It works. There's no ifs and buts about that.
Just
There's
look
no
at your,
reason
just look
to.
at your 401k and your IRA. Those are living proof that, like,
Yeah.
I've never studied an earnings report in the 401k, and it's done pretty well. And I started the
Yeah.
401k when I was like 24, 23, 24 years old. Did pretty well. A SEP IRA, I started that in 2004, 2005, and it did pretty well. Never looked at an earnings report or anything of the sort. You just put money in, on the 1st and 15th, whatever your pay situation is.
It works.
And that works. And that works. And that's probably, I don't know, man, if I had to guess, that's probably 80, 90% of the people that have made money in the market, they probably utilize that approach.
Yep. And you should. And you should. But if you're going to trade, you better get 2x, 3x, depending on your experience, 4x, 5x out of your account. And
you were saying something early that my buddy was telling me yesterday, because he's been coaching me through this Tesla trade, because I was already meant to have 20,000 shares and 200 long calls, and shaved the it wasn't supposed to ever be 635 calls. It was supposed to be 535. But I was just trying to pull a fast one on Tesla, and it did me dirty. But anyway, he said if you cannot golf around, because it's about 4 to 5 hours in the middle of the day, without looking at your phone to check on your positions, your positions are too big.
Absolutely.
Because they're causing you stress. So that's kind of his barometer that he lives by. He's like, if you
100% agree. Whoever he is,
checking, it's no bueno.
100% agree with him. Whoever he or she is correct. So, there is a gut check with all of us. Okay, I know what happens to my body when I have too big of a position. My lower back starts hurting. Actually, there's a Soros book that Soros has written about this. That when his positions were like massive, that his body is giving him signals, physical signals that are like, okay, this is too much, right? I agree with it. And that's why, because that means your supermarket basket is imbalanced.
Yeah.
It's like there's too much of salt and pepper, and there's less of this and that. So what I'm saying is, you will know. Actually, but what happens is that our personal biases, recency biases take over, and then you go, well, I'll be fine. I'm like, no, you're not going to be fine. You're going to blow an account. That's what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
So
you get stubborn. Like, imagine if I would have been stubborn and stayed completely naked in Tesla, and I didn't have like my little TSO, because I'm like, no, they're rolling out 10 taxis, and why are people getting so excited about it, etc. I'm like, you don't want to fight with Mr. Market, because Mr. Market at the end of the day is right all the time, right?
You do not argue with the price. The price is right, looking at you in the face. The price is always right. You may have your thoughts about it. Oh, it's not right. It's too high. It's too low. It's this. It's that.
But I wanted to circle back. I wanted to circle back to the Iron Condor. I'm going to see if I can pull up this Tesla position again.
Okay.
Because I want to show y'all something, because there's like so much gold in what you're saying, selling the call credit spread and the put credit spread. That's what an Iron Condor is in a nutshell, right?
I think I may do that on TSLL tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
So
because whenever a short strangle goes against you, I promise
it's bad.
I promise you, it's going to start ending up looking like an Iron Condor before you're done, right? So.
Well, no, but okay. So here's an example. Here's a perfect example. Okay. So I'm doing the pair trade in my trading account. You guys can all check it out. It's in my community page. So I'm buying Pony AI puts. Okay. Stock is 20. I'm buying the $15 puts. Okay.
So what? I'm sorry.
So Pony AI, I'm buying puts on the stock, flat out puts, directional bet, right?
Yeah.
Stock was about 17. I started buying the $15 puts, period. I'm thinking WeRide is going this way. Pony AI is going to go this way. I'm good. What happens? Okay. Pony AI doesn't go down. So what's happening? My June puts are decaying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what do I do? What does an experienced trader do? Two things you're gonna do. You either get out of your puts, sell the puts, take a loss, or what did I do? I went and started selling 17 and a half puts and 20 puts. I turned that into an iron condor. And basically, I turned it into a put credit spread, right?
Yeah.
I'm long the 15s already. I'm selling the 17 and a half 20s, and I took in exactly the same amount of dollars. So I don't give a shit if Pony AI now goes to 50.
Yeah.
Or it tanks goes to 12. I couldn't care less, right?
Sure.
But these are the tools that you have to have, an answer on the spot. Okay, this position is going against me. What do? I have choices. Get out, take your loss, or do something to remedy the situation. And those are the things that most people kind of, they get stubborn. They go, no, one day it will go down. But by the time that one day shows up, you'll be broke twice. So yeah, don't argue with the market, man. Market has broken people. Market has broken much richer people than TJ and me and everybody else. Market breaks hedge funds, billions of dollars of hedge funds.
You
don't argue with the market.
And I didn't pay attention to it too much. I feel like I want to watch it again. But dumb money, there was the one dude that lost like billions of dollars, or I don't know how much it was. Maybe I'm exaggerating. But during the whole GameStop thing, he just didn't believe, and I think it was
he blew his hedge fund. He blew his hedge fund. Yeah,
Seth Rogen's character maybe, and it was something like, "How much are you down today? Another billion or something?" Just ridiculous.
Yeah. Market doesn't give a shit. TJ, market doesn't give a shit who you are.
Yeah, there you go. Wow.
How much you know, how much money you have. Market does not give a shit. Market is a mechanism to make everyone wrong. Market broke that hedge fund, and then it made bag holders on GME, on pretty much everybody else, with the exception of few people who got in and got out properly. All I'm telling you guys is, do not argue with the price on the screen. That is scoreboard right there. Scoreboard, don't lie. You can say, "Oh, Palantir is too high. It's selling 300 times sales." Great. At that second, somebody is willing to pay 125 for Palantir. It doesn't make any difference to anybody. What your opinion is, what my opinion is. So
people are buying it, dude. It is surprising to me. Like, I would say that stock, and I've been fortunate, right? And we've made really good money with Palantir, like over $500,000 so far.
Okay.
This trade works out, puts us right at 750,000 with Palantir.
Yeah.
But dude, the staying power of this stock, like, I mean, like 40, 50. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it at 60. I sold the majority of the position between 70 and 80.
Yeah.
And then did a one of my very first strangles was on Palantir off YouTube.
Yeah.
And I think I made like 22 grand or something like that. I was in the trade for like 3 days, and I was like, dude, screw this thing. I feel like the technicals are saying this thing's going to go higher. And then it went 100, and then there was a correction. It went to like 70 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it went back up, and then now it's forming a low consolidation channel right now.
Yeah. I think it's a wide channel, and I think
this shit is crazy. Like, am I really going to do this at one? Initially, it was at 100. And then I got a little bit more ballsy with the put, and I went 110 on the put. Yeah. But eventually, like, my vision for it is like 70 and like 160, something like that, 80 and 160. Somewhere in that is where I want to end up, and that's when I want to ride it out to the finish line.
But I think, okay, if I may recommend something for you, is this: do a study, which is easy to do.
Real quick, just to finish the thought. I am going to try to ride this particular trade out, though.
Okay, I understand that. I understand that. But what you should do is you should do like a back test of this, okay? As opposed to widening your highway and extending the highway, right? Miles and miles from 30 miles, or 40 miles, which is average expiration, right? Tasty way, sell at 40 days, deal at 21, their usual gamut, right? Because now what you're doing is you're extending it to January. You're extending it to 300 miles or 200 miles away, right? When it's 200 miles away, It could be a light at the end of the tunnel, or it could be a train coming at you. You don't know. My thing is this: do a study, as opposed to doing that. Take less money in, stay with a tighter range, maybe 110, 150 that you have, right? And look at it, what kind of returns it would give you for your money you're tying up month to month to month to month, versus widen it and go all the way out to January, right? Do a study.
No, but I'm not talking about going out to January in one shot. I did that on Tesla out of necessity. I'm
Right.
talking about I want to stay in this trade for a year, but I want to
Yeah.
be rolling 21 days to expiration. The daisy trade.
Okay. All right. Well, okay.
Yeah.
So, but I think the
Like
Palantir, out of everything you got, what are you gonna do with your Nvidia? I saw you have a tight Nvidia. The earnings are coming out tomorrow.
It's 80 days away.
Tomorrow is you got earnings.
Yeah, if it goes crazy, I'm going to buy 10,000 shares of Nvidia, and then
Okay.
I don't have to
Because
do shit.
I think expected
Keep in
motivation.
mind, the only reason short strangles are real dangerous for a lot of people is you don't have the fucking money to buy the shares. Let's just call it what it is, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing it. I got the money to buy the shares. I'm okay buying Nvidia, 10,000 shares, big deal. Take them away from me. Goes to 150. I agree to sell them at 140. I don't want to babysit the trade. I'm
Yeah.
happy that I didn't lose money. I made money. It sucks that I had to tie that money up for another 70 or 80 days, though.
Okay, but what happens? Okay, let's say Nvidia, I think you had 130, 140, right? Stock is 135, somewhere in that range,
I
whatever
hope
it
it
is.
tanks. What I hope happens, I hope it tanks, because then now the deal's getting better for me, because I'm going to go babysit the short put side, and then just to agree to
So
buy.
you're saying you have the money to get put, you have the money to buy shares to cover your calls if it goes crazy, right?
Of course, man. There's 9 million and 2 million coming, and after that, another 10.
Okay, all right. So
So
that's again.
I'm not doing anything aside from I don't have the money to buy 63,500 shares of Tesla. I have to cover that with long call, so I have to
Yeah,
turn part of that into a condor, if you will, or
yeah.
a call credit spread on the.
You can always look, instead of buying leaps, you can always buy a couple of strikes up, turning into a call credit spread. There's many ways of doing it. I mean, if a position is going against you, you have choices. One of the main choices is take a loss, get out, bro.
Well,
You don't have to
yeah,
extend the agony,
and
so I
I'm
kick the
glad you
can down the road.
I'm glad you said that, Sergio, because um, I went golfing 3 weeks ago with my buddy that helped me set up the fund that I have,
Yeah.
and was the same guy, right? The guy that's got over 100 million. He's I want to call him a mentor. I use the term loose because he's a buddy. I've known him 25 years, so it's hard to he just happens to have a lot of money, but he's my buddy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't go roll out the red carpet for the fucking dude or anything like that. I don't want to give the wrong impression, because that's not the way my relationship is with him. But anyway, he's actually in the exact same trade, by the way. And
Okay.
this is what he's doing. So he just kind of gave me the playbook, and I'll see what you think. Use your expertise here to bend your ear, because I'm not 100% sold. That's why I'm wanting to share it with you. So I go here. That's the kaleidoscope action. So if I go here, it should show the portfolio, I believe. Let me look at my TV in the background, see if it does. There's like a 10-second delay over there, but are you able to see the account or no, Sergio?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, super. So he has the exact same trade, but on TSLL he has 250,000 shares.
Okay.
And he's better than me. He's got his for sale at 1750 on Friday, not 17. And he told me to do 1750. And I'm like, no, dude, I want to go get more premium. And he's like, bro, it's $50,000 more of upside, right? Because it's a lot of shares. But he definitely a big fan of selling this and buying leaps, because then you don't have the nav erosion, you don't have the mismatching, like the error, because it's supposed to track, but there's always error. And then he called it volatility drag. So
well, it is, yeah. I mean, I call it slippage. There's definitely slippage between TSLL and Tesla.
So he wants me to do that and go here. That's one. But he says, look at your P&L. You see that 575 is going to be 600 to the good.
Yeah.
He says, Tesla probably going to go do Tesla things. So he's making a lot more money over here, and he's carrying. Dude, we're like literally in the exact same trade. He's just bigger than. He's just trading bigger than me.
But
So
okay,
he,
why? Okay, but why do anything, TJ? I mean, you're like you have 300 and 470, right? That's your body.
yeah.
Why do anything? Do you think Tesla is going to just shoot up to 400 tomorrow? I don't think so.
Oh, according to it's not about that. It's just about fixing the trade. Like you're talking about, like what I got to do something with the 1.7. No, this is what he's looking to do for tax purposes.
Okay.
He was like, you're gonna make money over here,
Yeah.
right? On the Tesla, on the TSOL.
Yeah.
And he was like, go take all the pressure off the account and go close 235 of these guys right here.
Yep. Take your
So
loss.
you lose that money and boom, you're clean on your taxes.
Yep.
And then now you're in the driver's seat again because you're sitting real good over here. All the pressure is to the upside on the portfolio right now because they want Tesla to go up. Let Tesla get up to 450 or so, and then you can put these back on again and with like a $600 price tag, and you're feeling a lot better about life.
Yeah. No, I look,
You know,
I agree. I mean,
wait your 30 days for taxes because you're on probation on that side of the house, right?
Yeah.
So that's what he's going to do. He didn't even think about it, but he's robotic. Like he's zero emotion whatsoever. It was like you're logged in a real nice win here, and it sucks that you're offsetting it with the loss over here. But sometimes you get things wrong, and that's okay. Think about it. All of this shit has paid for 15,000 shares already of Tesla. So once this works out, you're sitting on 15,000 shares with other people's money, and it feels pretty good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that, and I think
that's why he has Sergio. That's why he has $100 million, and I don't, because he has the ability to take all the emotion out of it, and he never forgets that it's just a mathematical equation.
It definitely is, and to a lot of people.
And I'm just saying that part that we could talk about it, but there's an emotional element here, and it could because we have this thing. Like I say it a lot, like you can be right, I'll be rich, I'm gonna have a lot more fun. But it's hard to actually put that into action all the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, that's the toughest thing that you could do as a trader is become emotionless, okay? And become like trade on autopilot, basically. And you set your parameters. When things get to where they get to, then you need to cut it loose. That's what you have to do. And that's the most difficult thing because we still are all human, and we have our own biases. And that is the worst thing you can do as a trader, right? You can have recency bias. You can have all kinds of biases. Humans, we're good at creating biases for ourselves and justify a position that's in the hole. And that is the worst thing you can do ever as a trader. So, because we can justify it, man. You can say, oh, the sun is not up today. I'm like, no, bro, sun's going to come up today. So, and this is the stock price. Don't argue with the stock price. And I think, look, there is many ways to come out of trades. The best way, in my career, the best trades I have made, best trades that I remember. And when I was working on Wall Street, I'm trading company money. I'm trading Prudential Insurance, fucking insurance's money.
Yes,
I have 300 traders under me. We're trading billions of dollars, okay? We're a profit center. We're not what it is. And when we're trading, we set our risk tolerance. The second we put the position on, we already know where the exit is at. Positive or negative, done. That's finished with. The second thing is that you have risk managers that are above you because you can create all these biases as traders. And you can hang on and hang on and hang on and hang on. And what happens is that, you're going to end up losing it. So the important thing to understand in this game, okay, is this. I've had many times that I get in a trade. Literally within hours, it's going against me. Okay, it happens. We all go through it. The best trades I have made in my career are the ones that, for miracle or two, there is always a day or two that the market will come back to you. Either you'll have a little bit of a loss or a break even. Those are the best trades I've made because I know how to let my winners run anyway.
Yeah.
So don't get stubborn when the market's, when you're in a hole and it comes back to you, and you have instead of a 15% loss, you have a 2% loss, take that loss. Because on the long side, or if you're correct, you're going to take a 20% gain. And that's why, TJ, you can be 50-50, literally. Like you do 100 trades, you lose on 50, win on 50.
Right.
Can you double your account being 50-50? Absolutely.
Yeah, it depends how big your winners are and how small your losers are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You take all these little losses and then you keep your winners go. And that's what happened to, look, I posted it. It's on my channel. My account was up 120% last year in 2024. I was exactly dead on 50-50. So flip the coin, right? But that comes with money management. That comes with risk management. That comes with taking those little losses. Because all you have to do is, you have to get on a couple of good horses, and then that's your year anyway. You don't have to be right every single fucking time. You can't be right every single time.
But you're saying a mouthful, because the majority of my money that I've made is SoFi, Riot, Marathon, Clean Spark, Palantir, and then the $500,000 on Hood.
Yeah.
So the majority of the money, and I've probably been in, or attempted to be in, I convinced myself at one point that I had some sort of an investment thesis on probably over 50 tickers live and in color on YouTube. I can name, I'm just saying, like, this is a true story, dude. Like, it took me a long time to land on the same boring ass 8 to 10 stocks that you guys see over and over on the channel. I'm never going to get a lot of views, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
But I traded a lot of junk early on when I was cutting my teeth trying to figure it out. Luckily, the account wasn't that big yet, right? Like, I'm thinking of early on, there was a company like Plug Power. I got super excited about ChargePoint when it was a company called Switchback Energy.
Okay.
So, remember the world of the SPACs? Because that's when I went full time, because I got laid off from the oil field. Well, it was more than that. I lost my daughter, so my head wasn't right.
Yeah.
They didn't want me climbing 90 feet, so we worked out a deal at work. You know what I mean? So anyway, so I moved on to a different career, and I was just like, the EV, like I landed on sectors. Like what do I like? Like, what am I interested in? Everybody at work smokes weed except me. So I started looking at the cannabis stocks, right? Like this is the way, this is where the mind was at the time in 2019. And then I got real excited about EV. I knew that I wanted to buy a Tesla. I had spent a little bit of time in California. I was seeing Teslas everywhere. I was a real big fan of Elon Musk. Anytime he did interviews, anytime there was an article, like I was just like practically infatuated with the guy.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this is a real smart dude. So I did a post on Facebook. It was Facebook at the time. It wasn't Meta. And I was like, I'm going to free up some money from the 401k. This is my little basket of stocks. If I could only pick one, it's going to be Tesla, because I'm betting on Elon.
Yeah.
So I made some pretty good money with Tesla, and it was like, when it like the melt up was like 2020, 2021, something like that. And I was like, oh man, this is exciting, right? I'm betting on Elon. And then shit went down to $106 a share. And I wasn't feeling so good about Tesla at the time. True story. And it was just like, it's amazing how price follows sentiment, right? But does Plug Power, have you heard of a company called Workhorse?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there was this company called Workhorse that was supposed to get a deal with the Postal Service to do some freaking trucks. And then Oshkosh or something like that ended up getting that contract.
And stock went to zero. Yeah.
And they didn't even deliver on the freaking, but they got the money, right?
Yeah. And how about the other EV company? What was it that ended up being a fraud? And you know what I'm talking about, right? So here's the point.
So what's Tesla's first name? Nikola.
Exactly. Nikola Motors, right?
Nikola and Travis, a guy named Trevor or Travis, whatever the CEO is named, guy. He went to prison.
Yeah. You know what it is, though? You know what it is? It's so tempting because there's so much fluff out there. It's so tempting to get on these high flyers, right?
What was that
You
guy's
get
name?
on
Dude, it's gonna
you get
drive me
on these
crazy.
nuclear power stocks, you get on these quantum computing stocks, you get all this stuff, right? And then when you look at it, 6 months later or 3 months later, they're lower than what when they were going parabolic. In
Trevor.
fact, I may insult some people here, but you know, um, before this move on Tesla from 280 levels, right? At 280, Tesla was dead money for the last 3.5 years. Tesla
Yeah,
hasn't been dead money for the last 3.5 years. It truly is dead money. It's 280. It was 280 3.5 years ago. It was still 280 until this last $80 move that it took. So to me, it's like, you know, you don't fall in love with shit. Shit's supposed to be bought and sold. Now, if you're lucky enough to buy Tesla 6, 8, 10 years ago or 7 years ago at $8 a share before the split, awesome, great. Hold it forever, whatever you do. But when stocks get to certain size, they can't keep doubling and tripling and tripling and doubling, and it doesn't work out like that. There's law of averages, right? And to me, it's very difficult to refrain yourself from jumping on all these hot names of the day. Look, we all can run a scanner and figure out what's going to run, with an HFT algo, tagging it and then just taking it to the moon, right?
yeah.
But that's not trading. That's not thesis. That's not macro. That's nothing. That's just gambling. And you want to gamble? Hey, man, it's your money. Do whatever the heck you want to do.
Nah, dude, I tried that shit on the fucking basketball and I lost $1,000 betting on basketball
Yeah, yeah.
with this local bookie. Did I meet him the other day and pull $1,000 in cash? And I was mad at myself, dude, because I don't mind doing that on NFL because I really enjoy it and I feel like I do homework watching ESPN. I didn't know crap about who was he. I'm a Lakers fan. I didn't know crap about these teams. Like I could name you like the star player on the team, but that's about it, right? Well, anyway, I didn't
But
do
no, I
very
mean,
well.
look, it's easy. It's easy people think it's easy to do it properly. It's not easy
Dude,
so that's
Neo is one that I was just fortunate to make good money. I was doing an Uber. I was doing an Uber ride. This is how frothy the market was back then. I was doing an Uber ride, and on my little profile it says that I sell options on the things. I had just started selling options, and this kid, he worked at Fiesta, Texas, probably 16 or 17 years old. And he says, "Hey, sir, have you looked into the Chinese Tesla? It's called Nia." And he showed me a picture of this pretty car on his phone. And I was like, dude, a billion some people in China, right? This is real. This is where I was. I mean, this is where I was. I'm giving y'all an evolution. This didn't just like happen overnight where you go and you win a $10 million lottery and then, we're off and running. That's not how my life happened at all. So anyway, I went and I did, I don't know, probably like 20, 30 hours on Neo, watching any video that I could, going through earnings reports, the whole enchilada. And then I kept coming across the same theme. You can't trust Chinese numbers. And then there was a company called Lufkin Coffee.
Absolutely.
That was lying about their numbers. So that was the first time that I had confirmation that you can't trust the numbers, right? And then I was having a real hard time because I was on Seeking Alpha at the time, and because it was the only one that would translate the money for me, because it was like RMBs or whatever they call them, right? In China.
The yuan,
And like on Yahoo Finance, it doesn't give you the US dollars, right? So I'm like, I don't even know how much money this thing's making. Or trying to make, because they're not profitable. They're still not profitable. They certainly weren't profitable then. But anyway, dude, I wrote up well, for me at the time, it was like 6,000 shares, and I wrote them up to $60.
Yeah.
And got out of that shit because I was like, this is crazy.
Well, luckily you got out.
It was my first melt up stock. And then and then Palantir happened. I was in the DPO in Palantir. And then Palantir went up to like 37, $38 pretty quickly. Pretty quickly, like right out the gate. It was like a 10, 11, $12, something in that range. And it wasn't a lot, dude. It was like 1,500 to 2,000 shares. I still wasn't like looking at like market caps. I wasn't looking at PS. I wasn't looking at PE. Mind you, I'm a buy, hold, and hope investor. The only thing that I had was 401k, SEP, IRA. That's it. The
Hope
Roth.
and pray. Hope and pray.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's all that I had as far as my net worth. It was all the stock stuff. So anyway, so that being said, Neo and Palantir were the first two stocks that I was able to write up for a pretty significant amount of money, and then came Riot and Marathon.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they did very well, dude. I rode Riot to like 65 to 70.
yeah.
And then Marathon, I want to say did even better than that, but I didn't write that one all the way up. I think I only got up to like 50 on Marathon, and I bailed. No cover calls, nothing. This is just like swing trading. And the shit went up. It was just absolutely fun, but then it wasn't consistent because I was looking for oil field money. So it's like I told you when we did the interview, like that's how I ended up selling options. Is I was like,
but
what
if
can
you
I
look at
do to?
you look at Marathon, look at Riot, look at Neo, look at all these stocks, right?
Yeah,
They all have their run.
yeah.
And that's when the HFT algos are tagging it, and then they're just buying and selling from each other, basically. And they're the only ones buying and selling the stock. And when it ends, it ends. Where is Riot today compared to to its high? Where is Marathon today? Where is Neo today? Where is any? There's only
They're
one
like
company that has done well,
yeah.
is Boyd, right? Boyd EV, where Buffett's partner got into it. My thing is the most important thing for me is stocks are to be bought and sold. I cannot fall in love with stocks because I don't know more than the price. You can do all the research you want. Okay. There's paid analysts. They don't know what's happening with stocks. Okay. To me, is like stocks are to be bought and sold. Set your parameters, set your loss parameters correctly, set your gain parameters correctly. Not a huge fan of writing cover calls because it kind of puts you in a prison when the fucking thing is exploding. And to me, is like all I know is you can be successful at this game if you manage risk correctly and if you don't create personal recency biases, all kinds of biases.
Keep preaching. I'll be right back, Sergio. Keep preaching.
Okay, cool.
Give me 1 minute.
All right, I'll answer some questions off the chat. So let's see. Sergio, earlier you were about to warn TJ about something related to his Tesla short strangle strategy. I mean, look, he was short. He rolled them up. You have to say you're wrong at some point, and you have to take a loss and take a few days off that stock, and then come back. And have a different strategy. Obviously, market's telling you you're wrong. Look, short strangles on volatile markets on any stock, let alone Tesla. And Tesla is not the most volatile stock either, right? You can be like Oklo, let's say. I traded Oklo. I wrote it up, and then I was short, wrote it down. Or Hims and Hers. Look at these stocks, right? If you do strangles on these stocks, you're going to get whipsawed every single time because these are not buy and hold names. You're going to get whipsawed. If you could be on Hims, you could be on Oklo, you could be on all these stocks. Stock goes from 10 to 60 or 70 to 20, and now goes back to 65. If you have a short strangle on Hims, you're going to roll up, you're going to get killed on the call side, and then by the time you open your eyes, you're going to get killed on the put side because they're so volatile. They're whipsawing so much. So be careful what you're strangling with. Strangle is a wonderful thing. It really is, because time decay, and theta, which is decay, is really, really a powerful tool if you manage risk correctly and take losses. You got to learn how to take losses, man. You can't be right every single time. But don't do it with stocks like those. And this market, especially with Trump tweeting something, with saying something. Imagine. I mean, if you did a strangle on Hims and Hers, okay, when stock was stock was 25. Okay, you went 20 puts, 30 calls. Decent strangle. Okay. It explodes. Now it moves up. Okay, then you move it up to 35.25. Then you go up to, you're taking losses every time because the premium you're collecting by rolling the puts up is not enough to cover the losses you're taking on the call side. Then you roll up again. Then you roll up again. Then you keep rolling. Now, especially if you're going further out as well, now you're setting up yourself for the perfect disaster, which is a whipsaw. Now stock goes to 70. Okay, now you're doing this 80 and 60. That stock in a blink can go to 60. In a blink, you could go back to 30. So know your customer, know what you're doing strangles with. You can't strangle every stock. It'll fuck you up.
I think that a lot of people might lose sight of the fact that, to me, a strangle is no different than a cash secured put. Like, make sure you're willing to do it on something that you can go long on.
Absolutely.
That you're willing to go long on, because if you're not willing to do that and you're just cash grabbing because the premiums are really, really good.
Yep.
I mean,
there's a reason the premiums are good, TJ.
Are dangerous already. They're dangerous already. You're making them worse. But this is for AK Willie, because he called me a retard last week.
What?
And or 2 weeks ago, and he said, "I'm glad you're not wearing the helmet," and drove on the short bus. So I went to go get my motorcycle helmet.
Yeah, don't hit your head.
This is for Willie.
Don't hit your head, bro. No, yeah, see, Ren says that's what's happening to me with CRW. Yeah, core weave. Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, you put a strangle on core weave. Fucking thing keeps going hard.
You need to wear a helmet.
Yeah. you know, there's a reason the premiums are high, folks. Okay. The market makers, first of all, are the smartest people that I know that I have worked with in my life. Okay. The market makers are not stupid. The market makers, when they increase implied volatility on an option and they're paying you that kind of premium, okay, there's a reason for that. When you go, oh, those premiums are really juicy. Yeah, because IV is pumped and that thing can move 10% in a blink. And all you're doing is like watching your calls get into money one day. The next day, the puts are in the money. I'm like, bro, you're going to get killed. You're going to get whipsawed. And, you know, strangles are good for stocks that are relatively stable, because in order to collect the premium, you can't do it with, like, let's say, utility stocks. I mean, you're not going to collect any premium. This is just dead man's EKG, you know. But if you know what you're doing and you risk manage correctly, strangles are wonderful. And,
so let me give you all my buddy's stock that's making him all the money.
Okay.
It's boring.
Yeah.
It's been range bound for a while. It had a run, and then it just couldn't hold it, and it's given most of the gains back. But his number one stock right now that he's selling short strangles on, and he has yet to need to turn it into a covered strangle, going on about 4 months now.
Yeah,
is PayPal.
Yeah. Well, PayPal left for dead kind of a stock. It's just kind of doing nothing.
It's PayPal. PayPal is just an absolute money printer for him. Yeah. And once I'm able to get out of the stuff that's more high flyer, I'm definitely going to transition over to that boring shit over there and get me some of that easy
again
money.
Okay, don't forget, TJ, you can look at 1,000 charts. Okay, you can look at 1,000 charts. Stocks basic movement, especially on growth stocks, the movement of the stock is literally 4 to 5 months. The rest of the time it goes sideways. Why does it go sideways? It waits for earnings to catch up, because it needs to. Like, earnings are everything. I mean, a lot of people don't pay attention to. They look at technicals and they look at charts and this. I look at technicals too. But what a stock does is it'll take a leg up, then it'll go sideways for like a few months until the next earnings report comes out, unless the growth projections are so high, like NVIDIA when it was going up, right? But even if you look at NVIDIA had months sometimes that it just went sideways. Why? It's waiting for the earnings to catch up. Once the earnings catch up, the next leg will come. The next leg will come. So when the next leg comes, don't get caught short. Otherwise, you're going to give him all that hard-earned cash that you collected all those months. So to me, like, you know, you got to know, man. You got to know. I don't know.
Look at that sideways. Look at that sideways action, or that pretty tight channel on PayPal.
Yeah, Yeah.
And it's been going on for a while, guys. Like we're talking. We're talking 723 over here, 523. It's at 67. It's at
That goes
71
back to
right now.
2023 right there. I
I
mean,
mean,
come on
this
now.
is so he's only been in like right over here. He's only
But
been
I'll
in
tell you
right.
one thing: when this breaks out and starts moving above 100, this thing is gone. It's going.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it tried. Remember, like right over here, like right here, it
He
tried.
came. Yeah, he came up to the wall there, and it died back down again. So,
Couldn't do it.
okay, PayPal is gone either to 20 or 200. It ain't gonna do this for too much longer. It's been doing it for 2.5 years now. So,
It's
yeah,
crazy, yeah. But I mean, it's like again, like there's got to be like some sort of catalyst, right? Like Tesla had a catalyst.
yeah. Well, no, PayPal.
Palantir just keeps getting contracts, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's like people want to disregard the fundamentals, but at some point, valuations matter, right? We just don't
absolutely.
know if we're going to be solvent enough to find that out.
100% valuations, 100% matter because at the moment nothing matters.
Yeah,
Everything stocks only go up. Okay, cool, fine, whatever.
Trump tweets matter right now, Sergey.
That's what I said on my channel the other day. I was talking to my members. I said, "There's only one CEO for the next 3.5 years. One. Nobody gives a shit what Elon says. Nobody gives a shit what Jensen Huang says. Nobody gives a shit to anybody says. There's only one CEO. That's Trump. Period." Because you can listen to all the earnings conference calls, you can listen to all the shit, you can do all the analysis. It means nothing. Look at what he did to Apple that morning, right? Oh, he goes, screw Apple. They should pay 25%. The stock up was down 12 points. I'm like, what the heck, bro? This is Apple, right? So, there's only one CEO. Get used to it. The only good thing is, yeah, that's actually, I'm working on a beautiful trade on that now.
What are
I
your
look,
thoughts?
hope to
What are your
God.
thoughts on a company that you know is not going to go out of business, but it just gets its ass kicked? Like, at what point do you put your hand out there and start trying to, like, catch the falling knife?
I'm hoping that it makes a lower low, actually. I'm hoping that it goes to like a couple $100.
So what is it now? 295? Is that accurate?
Somewhere it hit like 250, 235 or 250, 255, I think. And then
Hey,
it
look
bounced
at
to
that
three
wick.
like
Look
20.
at that wick all the way down.
Yeah. No, it did. That day was ugly. But then if you have experience enough, that single day, the weekly options on UNH, the puts, right? We're like trading like, and that's the other thing. A lot of people trade and they don't understand the mechanics of what's happening. Because what's happening today, boys and girls, is that with the weeklies and zero DTEs, that's the tail. Options were supposed to or used to be the tail of the dog. The dog is the body. So let's figure out the body of SPX. Okay. Most liquid, most amazing options that trade. Okay. The body is SPX. You have the zero DTEs, which is the tail. In the old days, the options used to move right off of the body. So if the dog moved, the tail moved. But now, with the proliferation of zero DTEs and 60% of the market being zero DTEs, the tail is moving the dog now. That's why you guys need to pay a lot more attention, more than charts, the intraday charts, the lines you guys draw, day trading, and all that shit. You guys need to pay attention to gamma exposure, delta exposure, because you guys must understand that every time you're buying an option on a directional, the counterparty is a market maker, and market maker is always neutral. You guys have to understand what they are doing to keep themselves delta neutral. And on UNH that day, TJ, stock opened at 300. Let me tell you something. The 270, the 260, the 250 weekly puts, which were expiring on Friday, were trading by the tens of thousands.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no open interest in these things. Who's selling these options? Somebody's buying it, right? But who's selling? The market maker is selling. When the market maker sells, do you think he's gambling with you, sitting there and picking his nose and saying, oh, they'll expire, worthless? They go, no. What does the market maker do? He sells you that put. He immediately goes shorts the underlying. So it feeds on itself. It feeds the fuel, right? You guys have to understand the mechanics of all of this shit before you guys venture in trading options and doing all this and doing all that. But, I don't know. It's pretty simple to me, but it takes time and experience to learn all that stuff. So, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
what market makers do. Market makers are not in it to gamble.
no, they're just
Market
they're
makers
just
are like,
they're just trying to keep the poker table open long enough, and eventually all the money goes into the ring.
yeah. Well, I mean, all market maker is doing is stay delta neutral. That's what the market maker wants to do. All those thousands of hundreds of thousands, millions of zero DTEs that they trade. Somebody's selling those to you. It's not Uncle Bob next to your neighbor. Most of the time, is the market maker against you. But the second he sells you a put, the second he sells you a call, he's exactly going on hedging himself to make delta neutral, because to him it really doesn't make any difference to him. You know, he's like the bookie. He collects his vig and then he just moves on. You just
Little 10% and goes a long way if you got millions of people.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys must understand all these things. And to me, trading is not easy. It's not for everyone. You know, it's emotional. It's like a car. It's like you're a race car driver, right? So there's levels of race car. There's go-karts, and then they move up to, I don't know, some sort of whatever, other cars or rally cars. Then they get into NASCAR. Then there's Formula One. You don't go to Formula One immediately. If you drove a Formula One car, you're going to hit every goddamn wall, right? Or if you're driving NASCAR, there's 40 other cars out there that are going 200 miles an hour, 3 inches from your bumper and 3 inches from the wall. Well, some people can handle that stress and some people can't. And, it looks easy from the outside, but get your own car, get in the race. For the first 3-4 years, you're going to hit every wall, every other car. That's the tuition. And then you'll figure it out, man. Yeah. Core weave. Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, so I like your Palantir. I'm going to put that on tomorrow. I'm going to do it on TSLL. I'm not going to do it on Tesla. And I like those. I'm going to do Iron Condor on Palantir. Probably like go tighter because I'm doing the Iron Condor.
When you say you do synthetic and then you buy the long call, are you using the money from the synthetic to finance the long call?
Yeah, exactly. That's a synthetic. So instead of buying the stock, I put one on Oscar Health. OSCR is the symbol. Again, all the positions are on my channel.
How deep in the money are you going on the put?
I always make sure that after I buy the call, I have enough credit left over.
Gotcha. So it's still a positive.
So I did it with Oscar Health. On Thursday and Friday, I built a position. Stock was about 14 and a half. I sold the 15 puts, bought the 15 calls for about 50-60 cent credit. And I'm willing to, by the way, and I did it for July, I'm willing to buy Oscar Health at 15 minus. Why? Because last quarter came out, Catalyst, earnings were great. Stock popped to 17, pulled back to 15. Now I'm going to do it. Could it go to 13? It could go to 13, but I'm willing to get a sign in July if it happens, although it moved higher today and it probably move higher from here. And that's a synthetic. I did that with MSTU. I did that with TSLL. I did that with Soxel. My thing is, I don't want to capture the whole thing. I want to, maybe if I miss it from the bottom by 10-15% and miss the top by 15-20%, I'm okay with that. There's enough juice in the middle to do a synthetic and be really happy with it. And but sometimes I want to short Palantir the worst way. Like seriously, I'm dying. I want to short the thing, but how do I? Okay, so this is what I thought yesterday, actually today after the close. I go, it's kind of struggling here a little bit, right? It's just not like shooting up anymore. It's just kind of, either taking a breather before it takes the next leg up, or it's about toppy here, right? Because it's the same 125 as like it was 4 months ago. So I want to go, like I said, I want to sell the like 140 calls naked, okay? Sell the 140 calls and come down with that money, finance my purchase of a put debit spread. Like maybe 120 puts, buy the 120 puts, sell the 110 puts, and still have money left over. And if I do get into trouble on the upside, I'll just go buy the calls and then create a call credit spread and then be done with it. So I'm thinking doing something like that. That's what I want to do. I can't do it.
And then effectively it becomes a sweet spot trade, because I call the strangle the sweet spot trade, except except you've already purchased your insurance policies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I want. I mean, I'm telling you, I want to short that the worst way, but markets look again. It's market sensitive. Markets keeps going higher, bro. It's just what like. How do you argue with the market, right? I mean, why am I going
Yeah,
to
I
do
mean,
that?
you look at the like. I mean, remember Palantir was like it's a real big, heavy retail stock
Yeah,
because
man.
retail caught on before Wall Street did.
Yeah, man. Yeah, retail is powerful. Don't mess with retail these days.
But what I'm saying is like, dude, there's so many people that they're just. I mean, again, this is a real small sample size, right? Because of what we see on Twitter and
Yeah, yeah.
YouTube. But dude, it seems like these people never want to sell these Palantir shares, dude. Like you can't even. They don't even want to consider taking profits on this
Nope.
thing. So they're like
They
very.
want to write it up. They want to write it up, write it down, write it
They're
up, write it
sticky.
down.
They're sticky.
Yeah. So
So,
anyway,
what is Oscar Health anyway? Because I had never even heard of this company until about a month or two ago.
which one?
Oscar.
Oscar Health. Yeah, I like the company quite a bit actually.
Yeah,
Fundamentals are really
what
good.
is it? Like I'd never even heard of it, and they're like,
It's
"Oh, they go
it's an
in."
AI healthcare company. Profitable, the good cash position. And that was the last gap. Earnings came out like last week and a gap from like 14 to 17, 18 actually. And then premiums are pretty decent. So, I go like, okay, it gives me a pullback to 15. I'm in. It pulled back to 15, 1470. And I'm that's it. That's my target. I already know what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm not going to second question it. I'm just did the trade. That was it. I sold the July 15 puts, bought the July 15 calls with about 50, 60 cent credit. And that was it. So now if it goes up, great. Puts go down, calls go up. I'll make my money. If it doesn't go up, if it goes lower, I'm willing to own Oscar Health at 1450, 1440. That's it.
And what is your determination? Like, where do you come up with that? That your quote unquote, because I have like this little thing that I've used my intrinsic value calculation. And that's what starts everything for me whenever I start picking strikes and whatnot. And then I go look at the 50-day and the 200-day and everything else.
It's not a crazy stock, so that's why I gave myself a little bit more time. I was going to do June's. That's why I went to July, one further strike. And again, every time I'm doing a sometimes when I think it's extremely oversold something, I get super aggressive on the put side. Mm-hmm. So for example, when I was doing TSLL synthetics, stock was like 7.5, 8.
You were like
I was selling $10 puts.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like going, okay, I'm going to take shit ton of money on the put side. I'm literally like betting on the upside. And then I went and bought $15 calls. Right. And I didn't hold it all the way to the end, but that was like a 400% trade.
Wow.
But so it depends. It depends on what I'm seeing and how oversold something is. That's why I'm trying to structure a decent trade with UNH now, but we'll see. But it really depends. On Oscar, it's proper that I'm doing it. Most of the time when I'm doing a synthetic, the put that I'm selling is way more than going to cover the call side. I'm going and buying like way out of the money calls. That's my candy, basically. That's my icing on the cake. If it goes really that much, that call is going to go double, triple, quadruple, and then the puts are going to die anyway. So I don't want to. Very rarely I do equal strike puts and calls. Very rarely.
And what happens if the stock isn't performing? You're obviously stuck with the put.
I'm willing to get a sign.
Do you take ownership or do you?
Absolutely. That's the first thing I'm doing when I'm doing a synthetic. Mm-hmm. When I did the TSLL, 10 minus 3. Okay. Am I willing to get a sign TSLL at 7? First thought in my thought in my head is that. If I'm not willing to get a sign, I ain't doing a synthetic.
Right.
I like the stock at that price. Period. No ifs, no buts. Then if it works out for you that you're not going to get put and it worked out, most of the time I don't really get into the position of rolling or doing anything. I'm just going to take ownership. That's why I have on WeRide now. I am short $10 puts. I was short $5 puts. Then I was short 7.5 puts. Now I'm short 10 puts. Stock is moving up. I have it covered. I own shares at 7.5. Stock is 1070 already. I have $10 cover calls written against it for June, 12.5 calls and 15 calls. They take it away. The puts expire worthless. It's a 70% trade for about 28 days. I mean, hey, man. I mean, if you don't like 70% in like 30 days, 28 days, then I don't know. I can't help you. I can't do better than that.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I'm again, don't do what I do. Right? Because I'm doing it in autopilot. I'm doing it without thought. I'm waiting for something to come to me, and then
Yeah.
I'm doing it. And that is the toughest thing to do, TJ.
The
Because when
base.
things are going down,
Yeah.
you go, fuck, one more day, one more day. Well, we're like, no, 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 no. That's my target. It got here. I have the trade structured. Just put it on. Done. No emotions. Just another item in my supermarket basket. It works. It works. It doesn't. It doesn't. I have 7 other ingredients. Overall, if they work, I create this beautiful dish. That means my equity is a new ATH. Awesome. I don't care. I honestly don't care. So that's it.
I hear you, man. Because I've been eyeballing this Palantir trade for about 90 days.
Do it. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'll actually do it and post it.
It's 90 days to because I wanted to see whether or not like 100 was going to be the new floor, right?
Possibly.
And I was like, so that gives me a little bit of wiggle room because I've got money from the call, got money from the put. Now, mind you, on my journal, I have that I'll fight with this thing until I get to 70 strike. Like I am not going to take ownership of Palantir unless
No, you don't want to. But I think I'm going to wait maybe a day or two. But look, stock
it
is.
Was one of the only stocks that wasn't up today, right?
Yeah, it's just not going down, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm talking about the staying power of this
Yeah.
stock. Like when I put this trade on, everybody was like, "Oh, Palantir's going to the moon." I'm like, "Bro, we're already at the moon in my mind, right?" And I'm like, I'm looking at my ballsy ass 110.
There is that unspoken hand that goes, you're not going down. I'm gonna accumulate every freaking share I
These
can.
freaking stock is just. I mean, sometimes you just gotta tip your hat, right?
Oh,
You gotta tip your hat and be like, "Hey, I'm so glad I was part of it."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, but
No, I take my hat off, I take my underwear off, I take everything off. I mean, I'm telling you, I got lucky the first time I shorted it. I still want to short it, but you learn your lesson. You go like, you know what? Don't mess with the wrong dog. Like this is the wrong dog to mess with.
Yeah, I'm just I'm just looking at the monetary, right? Like I was in it from day one to make when it was all said and done, like a little over 500. And then I'm like, if this one trade works out and make half of that, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
For 35 days. And I'm like, when you find the right situation and you're willing to pull the trigger, it could be fun, but at the same time, there's gimmies and gotchas, right? The gotcha the gimme is the shitload of premium. The gotcha is if Palantir were to start going back down to a little bit of reality. It wasn't that long ago that it was in that $70 range.
Yeah, no, I Palantir, I think, it's its own animal. I don't know, man. It's not a small company, man. It's not anymore. I know, like 300 billion, 400 billion, whatever market cap. It's not a small company. It's not like this company that you can really actually support and hold. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, it looks like there is this unspoken thing that just goes, I just want the shares. Done. I'm like, okay.
It's nuts.
I ain't gonna push it down. But anyway, I gotta run, bro.
Me too, man. I appreciate you. Learned a lot. I definitely, I think that there's gold there on the iron condor because if you look at the Tesla trade, if you start looking at it closely, one, I'm trying to turn it into a cover strength, but that's extremely expensive because buying that many shares is too much. But it is starting to look like a call credit spread on the other side.
Yep, absolutely. And
that's what you have to do whenever you get it wrong on one side.
You can't be right on every strangle. You got to learn how to take losses. Yeah. Okay, but overall, they work. Overall, they work. Yeah.
You got to be able to have you got to, I'll leave you with this. If you want to do strangles, you have to be able to deal with the pressure, because like Palantir is exciting and I can get to 50% probably here within a week if it just does a little sideways action, because the data decay is massive, right? On that time period.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to handle some pressure. And then also like to be able to ride the winner, because you know how tempting it's going to be to just lock up
Give me 1 minute.
100, 110 grand if I could do that in another week.
Yeah.
But then there's all that other money. Then that's where you're going to deal with like a lot of emotions. Like I'm talking about the greed element, the stuff that, you know, you go into this idea, like I'm going to write it out to the end. I'll be in this trade for 3 years if I have to, etc. But then you see
No, don't even think of those things, you know? Okay, I'll be right there, honey. Hold on a second.
Dude, it's tough. I got to run before my wife gets angry at me.
My wife is calling me too. So
TJ the Real Deal signing off with Sergio. Check out his channel, guys. I appreciate you, Serge. As always, guys, stay blue, stock screen. Peace out. God bless you guys.
Anytime, TJ.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Take care.